Hello, Dr. Patterson. This is Susanna Cuevas giving her PowerPoint on placement tests. What are placement tests? Placement tests are a series of tests used to calibrate what a student knows for a course. These tests are given in the areas of math, reading, writing, science, and foreign languages. These tests check the academic skill levels of entering students. From this test, the colleges can place each student in classes at the right level. Who uses placement tests? In elementary school, students whose primary language is not English are tested for placement, and decisions are made on the identification and placement of ELLs, which means English Language Learners. Also, 2-year and 4-year public schools use this tool to place students in the correct classes. Now, some private colleges are using placement tests as well. If students have taken the test and pass it with high scores, they may be eligible to skip some introductory courses. However, if the scores are low and they are placed in remedial classes, if the students need more preparation, that's what the remedial classes are for. A college may require them to take remedial courses. A number of 4-year colleges and most community colleges offer remedial classes, but this, of course, depends upon the institution itself. What subjects are offered for placement tests? Each college or school offering a placement test is subject to individual tests. The tests range from math, reading, writing, science, and foreign language. The school, of course, determines which ones it may offer to students. This, of course, is an individual college determination. Of course, some may offer only 2 and others more than that. In placement testing, the individuals and the school itself may determine which subjects are needed for them to pass. So they are offered these placement tests to calibrate that as well as place them in the correct courses. What placement tests are used? As I have researched this on placement tests, I have found a main one for most elementary schools in Northwest Indiana use the WIDA, and it's an abbreviation. The WIDA is a placement test used as a screener for English language proficiency. The grades that use this tool are those from kindergarten to 12th grade. The WIDA is for students who need a little bit more help when their first language is not English. This helps to determine where the student is. It does not place them in a high or low level class. It just puts them on a scale so that they may know where their English levels are, because English levels for them determine what form of class help they will get for a certain aides. The aides usually come to their classrooms and either read the information to them, or they may have them read it to themselves. What this is showing the proficiency of each student that does know some English and to what levels they are. Some are more proficient with reading, some are more proficient with saying, and sometimes they're proficient with both and they test out. The Acuplacer is a placement test used by more than 1,500 institutions, and these institutions use this test for incoming freshmen, as well as students who have been out of school for quite a while as well. They are given this test to see where they are academically. There also is the Compass, which is used and offered by the city colleges of Chicago that I have found out, and that tests students in levels of reading and math. Acuplacer and Compass are kind of the same thing. They do help the colleges to figure out where the levels are. Some institutions use them and some do not. What helps for these colleges is to place these students in either classes that combine these courses together to help them, or what they do is use them to put them in remedial classes. Are there tools to study for these placement tests? Well, according to the WIDA, this is just a test to calibrate where the student levels are in their proficiency for English language. There's no need to study. It will only give the screener inaccurate levels, which is true. We want to know what the student knows, not what they brushed up on. It will not help to have a student who doesn't know English and have a high grade for English when they do not understand it, comprehend it when reading it, and speak it. The Acuplacer is a test that is student-driven, which means there are no time limits for the tests. The levels are determined by the responses of the students, and each question is determined by the level of difficulty of the following questions. So if they have a question that is high level, they go on to the next level. If the question that they had is not up to their level, sometimes the test will refer itself back one or continue on testing with the same levels that they've had. The compass is offered by City Colleges of Chicago and tests students in levels of reading and math. Students can become familiar with the test by using study tools. The only two ones that use the study tools are the Accuplacer and the compass. The benefits of the placement tests. An article from the Post, Washington Post that is, says that the tests are worth the time and the effort. The article shows that 2 separate studies support the tests. The test also shows that students who took the test out of high school did well in the classes they were placed in because of placement tests. Now this is just an article from one gentleman from the Washington Post. Now the negative feelings on placement tests. In a different article from the New York Times, a teacher wrote an article on the overdiagnosis of students as being underprepared. This article explains that even high school students that come out of school with a grade point average of 3.5 to 4.0 have to take these tests no matter what grade levels they are. If students are placed in a remedial course, they have to pay money for these courses and they will not count towards their degree. So this is basically what they're doing to new incoming students. They're testing them, and if they need a remedial class, they pay for the remedial classes. And if they take it again, they will have to pay as well the second time. So this is also a different subject as well for placement tests that are keeping certain students in remedial courses that will never help with their final degree. Now these are the references that I found. The first one is the Washington Post. The second is the New York Times. The third is about AWIDA, and the last two, which are for the compass and the Accuplacer test. Thank you for your time. Have a good day, Dr. Patterson.